Let's do it. All right, so I think we are live, and thanks everyone for joining the GEO Jobe and XR navigation dual webinar, how to make your ArcGIS maps ADA Title II compliant with Audiom. So again, thank you so much for joining. If y'all are going to be out at the UC in a couple of weeks, we're also going to be out there, so come see us there as well. GeoJobe's booth number is 1119, so you will find us in the expo, and we'd love to say hello. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. You're not going to hear from me very much, which is the whole point of this thing. You really need to learn about Audiom and what XR Navigation has done with their technology. But some quick housekeeping. So obviously there's like a little ribbon at the bottom. It pops up, pops down. If you have any questions for us, we prefer you put them in the Q&A, and then we'll have like a dedicated Q&A section at the end so we can address them. All that'll be recorded, and then we can send it out kind of post too. Obviously, some things are going to make it into the chat, and we'll be monitoring both. We love engagement, so please feel free to engage using those mechanisms and then react if you would like to as well. And we will be doing some polls along the way, no quizzes. So if you didn't study, don't worry about it. We're not going to quiz you, but we are going to be doing some polls. And then the panel. So I am Corey Baker. I'm the Director of Sales over here at GeoJobe. I'll be emceeing the slide deck, I guess, along the way, at least from the GeoJobe side. I am joined by Brandon Biggs, who is the CEO of XR Navigation, who's really going to be the star today. You're going to learn a lot. I've learned a lot from just interacting with Brandon in this kind of first half of this year. So you're going to learn about their solution and what they have done, and just more about what is ADA Title II, right? And what that compliance means as well. So, like I said, we're going to start off with a poll question. I have to go over here and hit a button, but the poll question is going to be, how prepared is your organization for the April 26, 2027 deadline for ADA Title II digital map compliance? So let me go ahead and get that poll up. It's going to take me a quick second, make sure I'm looking at the right one. And there it is. So I got the poll up. You should be able to answer. And please do. Yep, we got answers coming in. Love it. And I'm going to give it, yeah, there we go. We got lots of answers coming in. This is awesome. Good deal. They're still coming in. This is a great poll. This is a great poll. All right, I'll give it maybe another 10 here just to make sure we've got everybody. They're still coming in though. Maybe we'll give it a little longer than 10. Good deal. All right. It looks like we've hit a saturation point. So I think everybody has answered that. That's perfect. So let me go ahead and end the poll, and I'm going to go ahead and share these results so the whole audience should be able to see. So again, how prepared is your organization for the April 26, 2027 ADA Title II deadline for digital map compliance? So we got 3%, so 2 out of 62 folks that are on right now, or at least have answered the poll, are fully prepared and compliant, can hear every shape on the map. Okay, perfect. And then secondarily, at 44%, currently, 27 of these folks are currently assessing their maps and requirements. And then down here at 29%, so 18, we have identified a need but haven't started the implementation. And then 15, looks like there's a typo in my in what I did here, but that's perfectly fine. 15 have answered, 24 not yet started and unsure where to begin. So thank you so much for that. That's definitely going to help guide, and probably from once we get into Brandon's portions, probably not anything he wouldn't expect as far as that distribution of answers. So let's go ahead and progress on. Okay, so this is a slide that they make me do. They make me do this slide every time. So it's redundant for me, but maybe the first time for you. So if you don't know about GeoJobe, say you found our webinar via LinkedIn or some sort of social, we put it on. They make me talk about ourselves at least for a second. Okay, so GeoJobe was founded in 1999. We've been an Esri business partner since 2002, and we were at the platinum tier. We've always been an early adopter of Esri's newer technology paradigms, such as like when ArcGIS Align came out, ArcGIS Enterprise, Velocity, so on and so forth. A longtime innovator, especially with our products, and we currently serve over 12,000 organizations globally. There's a lovely distribution of a map of our customers up there. I'm sure Brandon's going, that looks or sounds horrible, right? Sounds horrible, but that is a distribution of our customers. We're in every continent except Antarctica. Um, Kind of progressing on in terms of what we offer. The top ribbon is our products, our flagship product being admin tools, backup my work, clean my work, symphony, manage my attachments. If you want any more information about that, just reach out at sales@geo-jobe.com. And we'll show you all that at the end. Some of the services and things we offer is obviously US-based support to support our products. We have a lovely group of folks over at GIS Services that really help folks with staff augmentation, deploying ArcGIS Enterprise, custom script development, just phone a friend support, whatever you want help with, they can do. We have software development. So these are the folks that do custom web applications, custom widgets for things like Experience Builder, integrations with third-party systems, so on and so forth. We have UAV, UAS. These are the folks that fly the drones, obviously. And they do thermal mapping, generation of 3D point clouds to digitally visualize your assets, feature extraction, and things of that nature. And then data science, which really we need to rebrand this because this is really where our folks working with AI and LLMs and MCP servers, that's where they live. They really live over here. Um, and now we're getting there, and I promise we're going to get to Brandon really soon. I'm looking at my watch and I'm going nice and quick, so that's perfect. A little bit about XR navigation. So their vision make every map accessible to everyone. So today there's 30 plus million maps that are visual only and inaccessible. And there's current solutions illegal in many jurisdictions. So they've been an Esri startup partner since 2023. They recently won a partner award at this year's partner conference in 2026. And that's actually when, just before then, is when we got introduced to Brandon. And then we officially became partners kind of a little bit later on than that. So we're super excited when we saw Audiom, the Audiom solution, and really understood the problem set. And I know for many of you out there, you're trying to understand it as well, and they have really tackled it. It is the world's first cross-entry digital map viewer and embeds seamlessly in ArcGIS platforms. So, and we're almost to Brandon. I'm so excited, but we have to hit you with another poll, unfortunately. So let me find the poll button again. And this poll is how many people working in dependent professions at your agency are blind? So let me go ahead and start that poll. Got to get back and let me launch it. And it should be up for you all to answer. And again, I'm going to look at my stopwatch to make sure I don't belabor it. Okay, awesome. And now I can kind of see. Oh, good. It's got numbers up there. I'm going to let it keep going. Yeah, people are still answering. We should have added an unsure too. Yeah, as I'm thinking about it, maybe we should add it at unsure as well. Um, let's see. There's still a few out there who haven't. I don't even know. Look at my watch. It has already got. Yep, yep. Thank you from William Patterson. He said you should have added unknown as an option for polls because some of us at large organizations actually do not know. Actually do not know. So that's a good point. As I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, maybe you wouldn't know. Okay, and we're getting some additional answers at the panel saying, yeah, I'm sure it would have been my answer. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I want to make sure. Okay, it's been going on for a minute and 15, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results. Okay, so none is the predominant, but then I also have to account for the folks that are hitting the unsure direct chats at me too, because that would be another category. 1 to 3 is about 10%, 4 to 8 is about 3%, and we had no one on the 8 plus. So, okie dokie, thank you. People still chatting at me, and I appreciate it. We will add an unsure to future polls of that nature. So, let me switch back here, and goodness, it is time. It is time. So, I'm going to stop talking. I've only been talking for about 7 minutes, but really, you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from Brandon. You want to hear about Audiom. You want to hear from XR Navigation. You want to hear what is going on and what needs to be done. So, Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen if I can figure out how to do so in an eloquent way.
I'll test.
Yeah, let me go stop share. Perfect. And I think you should be able to share your screen.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey. I am going to share my screen here.
All right, I will let you know when I have it. Yeah, I think we have something. We have something.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm hearing the screen reader too.
All right, cool. 1 second here. I gotta find my PowerPoint myself. All right, cool. So my name is Brandon Biggs, and I am the CEO of XR Navigation. I'm also a PhD candidate at the Georgia Institute of Technology and an engineer at the Smith Cadwell Eye Research Institute. And today we're going to be talking about making your digital maps ADA Title II compliant. So, as you probably heard, there is a very, very, very fast
Hey,
speaking.
hey, Brandon.
Yep.
Brandon, really quick. I see that you're presenting something as just a black screen. I don't
Oh
know if
dear.
that's is that, I don't know if that's your intention.
No, that's not my intention.
Okay,
Let me unshare and reshare again.
no worries.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah, I didn't want you to get too far ahead, and then some of the audience members had asked as well, and
All
I
right.
didn't know if we were going for the dramatic intro or, or what we were doing.
Second here. Well, I'll try this one more time.
Alrighty.
Right. How's this?
Okay, yep, I'm seeing how to make your ArcGIS
Perfect.
maps. Yep, I'm seeing the screen, so I
All
think we
right.
are good to go, and I'll try not to interrupt you.
And are you hearing my screen reader?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Cool. So ignore the screen reader. That's basically how I'm totally blind myself, and screen readers are how blind people access their computer. And I'm going to be sharing a bunch of sounds with you during this presentation. So you're going to be hearing my screen reader because there's not a really good way of turning off my screen reader while allowing you to fully hear all the sounds. So bear with me on this one. Blind people use screen readers to access the text that's on the screen, but it is the text that you can copy, you can select, copy, and paste into another document. Anything that's on an image is going to be blank, which is really, really relevant to what we're doing, talking about today. I want you to close your eyes and imagine. You smell the smoke and pull up a wildfire evacuation map. And here, 1 second here. My computer is not playing the video. There we
Down
go.
arrow, clickable graphic no indent appears to be, darkness. Down arrow, graphic clickable space. Down arrow, graphic clickable. Down arrow, clickable no indent Esri.
Open your eyes. This is my experience when accessing ArcGIS maps in their default state. So it's really not helpful at all. And like I was saying, the only way that blind people are able to access content is if it's text that you can copy and paste. So that is really the foundation and the inspiration for why I started my company. It's not just blind people that aren't able to use geographic maps. That just happens to be my personal experience and probably one of the most extreme cases of folks who can't use geographic maps. People who aren't able to read text due to some types of dyslexia or other print disabilities aren't able to use geographic maps because they can't read the text. People who aren't able to read at all due to illiteracy or other reasons aren't able to use geographic maps. folks who can only use the keyboard or some switch control devices aren't able to use geographic maps, and those are often people with dexterity disabilities. And then oftentimes there are some folks with autism who aren't able to read geographic maps because they can't understand the symbolic nature of what's being shown on the screen and connect that to the real world environment. So they're also not able to use geographic maps. So it's a lot of people at the end of the day, around 20 to 34% of the population who are unable to use ArcGIS maps or any type of maps in their current form. There is an upcoming Department of Justice regulation that was originally set for April 2026, but was pushed to April 2027. And this states that all state and local governments need to make all their digital content compliant to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. These are a set of 78 criteria that go through a systematic way of evaluating the accessibility of content. So the idea behind them is that if you follow these guidelines, then as many people as possible will be able to use your technology. Oftentimes, when developers create technology, they only think about themselves or about the few sets of users that they evaluate. It's really difficult to find disabled people of all the different types of disabilities that are out there and have that as your testing the people who are testing your product. There are companies like Fable that do this and allow you to find those people. But for the most part, most user experience testing does not encompass the full diversity of humanity. And so the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines are built to allow you to create your content in the most accessible way possible. And they're not perfect, but they're the best that we have. These upcoming ADA Title II regulations require that all state and local governments make their content compliant to these 78 criteria. So here is an evaluation that was published in March 2025 of the top 14 digital map tools against these web content accessibility guidelines. And what we found, what was described here is that the most accessible digital map platform is about 50% compliant to those 78 criteria. So it's missing, half of the criteria that are a minimum requirement. Esri, ArcGIS is down at 30%. So there is a long way to go before these are actually usable out of the box. So if you haven't done a lot of work to try and make your content accessible, then there's a good chunk of development work that needs to happen, or you need to work with a company like GEO Jobe with the Audiom solution that I'll be presenting in a sec. Oftentimes, when people think of map accessibility, they consider two things. One are paper maps, and these are what you think of when you think of a tactile graphic. In fact, Esri published a book recently talking about paper maps and tactile graphics. These are great. Unfortunately, they're not compliant to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines because the very first criteria that they say is that all non-text content needs to have a text alternative that serves the equivalent purpose. So, first off, these paper tactile maps are not text. They are a physical piece of paper that people are printing out. So those aren't digital. Another way that people are making maps accessible today is by providing a phone number so that you can call someone and have them answer your questions about the map. This is also not compliant to the upcoming regulations. It's great to have that, and it's also great to have tactile maps, but they do not meet the criteria by themselves. So there is another way that people have been meeting these criteria, and that's by using what are called audio descriptions or detailed text descriptions of maps. And basically, this is a technique that gives life to the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Except if anybody's ever tried to describe a map, they know that 1,000 words is a severe underestimation of how many words it takes to describe a map. So the criteria, so the very first one that we were talking about, all non-text content needs to have a text alternative that serves the equivalent purpose. The detailed text descriptions that you have need to serve this equivalent purpose. But what is equivalent purpose when it comes to a text map? In fact, what is a text map? So, a recent publication that came out that I actually was a co-author on describes what exactly a map is. And I'm going to get a little bit technical, but basically, a map communicates all generalized spatial information and relationships. And so you can kind of go through and ask yourself, does the text map have all the different features that are on the visual map? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you move on. And you ask for all the different features on the map, all the points, polygons, and lines, are you able to understand the shape of that feature? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you move on. Orientation, are you able to understand how the objects are oriented to one another? Yes or no? And so this paper outlines a framework called the Map Equivalent Purpose Framework, where you can go through shape, size, orientation, thematic information, name, type, temporal information, any kind of route information, distance, direction, topological relationships, and relative locations of all the points, polygons, and lines on the map. If the text map does not communicate any of those variables, then it's not considered equivalent purpose, period. So it's a very simple framework to use to evaluate. It's very difficult to create a text description. So some of the cons of creating these text descriptions are that they're very expensive to create in a equivalent purpose, to meet equivalent purpose. They are static, so oftentimes when you write a detailed text description, it's not being updated with new data, and so it becomes out of sync with the visual map very quickly, which then also breaks the digital accessibility piece. The For maps that have thousands or tens of thousands of features, it's very difficult and time consuming to write a text description for every single feature. And it's also very difficult to properly index those features so that it's easy to navigate and understand the map at a professional level. So that's kind of the cons of writing a text description manually or using AI tools. So what is a better solution out there? That's where we came up with our tool that we call Audiom. It's a visual, auditory, and text-based map viewer and editor. So for these last few minutes, I've just been talking about the first criteria out of those 78 criteria. That's success criteria 1.1.1. We've got 77 others to go through, and Audiom meets all 78 of these criteria. That's a lot of work just to think about one of these criteria. Think about, you need to think about that level of detail for every single one of them. So the visual version of Audiom allows users to switch between using patterns and colors for colorblind users, adjust the border width of features to make them easier to see, zoom in up to 200% without squashing the interface elements. You can click on different objects to have them read out to you in speech, and you can really customize the visual interface to be how you want it to be. The non-visual version of Audiom, which is what I use, is like a video game where the user hears the name and sound of objects as they move a character around the map, a user-specified distance, using their arrow keys, touchscreen, or other controller. Here's an example.
First tier section in Nixon Hall. First ramp, trash cans along ramp. Second row table, west in Nixon Hall.
Using these conventions, a blind person or anybody is able to hear all the different variables that I've mentioned before. You can hear the shape, the size, the orientation, distance, direction, topological relationships of all the points, polygons, and lines on the map. The goal is that a blind person is able to be a professional in a cartographic dependent profession. And a few of you messaged and said that you did have blind people working in cartographic professions. I would love if you could please send like chat and tell me like your email address so I could get in contact with you because I'm desperately looking for blind people working in cartographic dependent professions because we just recently got a National Institutes of Health research SBIR grant to help blind people be professionals in these cartographic dependent professions like city planning, geology, epidemiology, all these different jobs that require the use of geographic maps. And so far, I've only found three blind people in the entire world who work in these professions. So I desperately would like to meet them. All right, so Uh, additional to the so why should you get make your maps accessible, beyond the compliance aspect, which is a big deal because digital accessibility lawsuits have cost institutions over $6 million apiece. And so that's definitely something that people want to avoid. But other than that, there's about 20%, 20 to 34% of the population who aren't able to use the geographic maps that you produce. So, what does this mean for the individuals who aren't able to use them? Recently, my public transit authority in my city published a complete bus route redesign and asked the public for feedback. Being a totally blind person, I'm completely dependent on public transit to get around. So I use it all the time. And so this was a really, really important topic for me. The survey that the transit authority put out asking for public feedback had a map that was the very first item on that survey, and it was completely blank. And every single question on that survey required the use of this blank map. So, despite being someone who is completely dependent on public transportation, I wasn't able to let the city know my thoughts on their new redesign of the bus routes that I take every day to go to work, to get groceries, all that kind of stuff. So, uh, I reached out to the public transit authority and asked for an accessible version of the map, and they never got back to me. And eventually the survey closed, and I wasn't able to give my feedback at all. I ended up reaching out to a Department of Transportation employee who did work on digital accessibility, and they told me my bus in front of my house hadn't changed with this redesign, but that doesn't really help if I'm thinking about going to a friend's house or going to get groceries or going to work or something that isn't using the just using the bus that's in front of my house. So these people who aren't um, able to use geographic maps are often the ones who are most heavily impacted by civic engagement projects. And these are the people who need to be served by these geographic maps. So that's why you should think about making your maps accessible from just a usability perspective. Here is a demo of a quaternary map of Wisconsin that we recently published.
This is the non-visual version of the Quaternary map of Wisconsin. I am currently on Friendship and I want to go to Portage County. I'm going to start by opening a menu of all the different objects on this map by pressing the M key.
Filter objects submenu 2 of 2982.
There are 2982 objects on this map, so I'm going to type POR to jump to Portage.
Portage County is 2 steps right and 7 steps up submenu 273.
And I'm going to press enter.
With go 2 of 6.
And we can either use our arrow keys to move through this menu or use first letter navigation. So I'm going to type D to get to directions and press enter.
Directions submenu 6 of 6. Portage County is 2 steps right and 7 steps up. Press D to get updated directions.
Now I'm going to use my arrow keys to move around the map. 3 miles each arrow press. And that's because I have my step size set to 3 miles. I can set it to whatever I want it to be. I'm going to press the up arrow.
Lake Plain Sediment, Lake, and Adams, County, 246,000.
And what we heard there were the name of the objects that we're on, which is Adams County and Lake Plain Sediment, some coordinates that tell us where we are on the map, and a sound representing Lake Plain Sediment. I'm going to continue up.
Adams, County, and Modern Non-Glacial Stream Sediment, Lake Plain Sediment. Adams, County, and Windblown Sand, Adams, Lake Plain Sediment, Lake, and Wood, County.
We're in Wood County now, and I'm going to press the D key to get updated directions.
Portage, County, is 2 steps right. Press D to get Lake Plain Sediment. Lake Plain Sediment, Lake, and Portage, County.
And we're in Portage County. Now we're going to hear a shape.
Lake Plain Sediment. Adams, County, and Windblown Sand.
We are going to use a technique called weaving to explore the shape of this windblown sand feature.
Windblown Sand, Windblown, Adams, County, and Modern Non-Glacial Stream Sediment, Wisconsin River, Stream Terrace, Meltwater Stream Terrace, and Juneau, County, Lake Plain Sediment, Windblown Sand, Lake Plain Sediment, Lake Plain Sediment, Lake, and Adams, County.
And what we heard there was the shape, size, and orientation of this 3-mile high, 6-mile wide horizontal rectangle, and the distance, direction, and topological relationships of the objects surrounding it, including that Lake Plain Sediment is along the bottom and right half of the rectangle, and Juneau County is along the left edge. You just heard a map.
So what Wisconsin did to put their map into Audiom was publish the feature layers as if they were creating an ArcGIS experience builder map. And we basically just pasted those feature layers into Audiom, told Audiom how the schema was that each of these different layers used to display like their names, like Lake Plain Sediment, for example. That was under, I think, symbol or label on that particular layer. And then we had a connected that to a sound pack that was created for them. It was, similar to a style sheet that made the sound of Lake Plain Sediment. So it was a fairly quick process. And the nice thing is that if they ever update this map, then they don't need to do anything. It automatically syncs over to Audiom. And no data of theirs is stored on any external servers. So they're literally just using Audiom as a viewer, which is really fantastic. So that is the non-visual experience. Here is the visual experience of how we made this map fully ADA compliant.
The visual version of the Quaternary Wisconsin map allows you to use high contrast colors, patterns for colorblind users, adjust the border width of features to make them easier to see, zoom in up to 200% without squashing interface elements, click on different objects to have them read out to you in speech,
organic rich sediment, wetland,
and customize the interface to be how you want it to be.
And here is how the ArcGIS Experience Builder widget works.
Welcome to Audiom, integrated directly into an Esri experience. Here we're looking at Hawaii census data loaded into a native Esri map. Clicking Attract shows a pop-up with detailed information. But try navigating with a keyboard or screen reader. There's nothing. There's no way to bring up this information. Now let me switch over to the tab containing the Audiom widget. The Legend menu lets me select different statistics that are communicated visually through patterns, colors, or pop-ups. For now, I'm going to stay on total population. If this was everything, then like the default map widget, it'd be a wall for keyboard users and screen reader users. But let me show you what Audiom makes possible by hitting Enable Sounds and Skip to Map.
Census Tract 401.04, 1,438 total population. Census Tract Census Tract 401.04.
Each census tract has a distinct pitch corresponding to its population density. Higher pitch, higher population. I'm not trying to comprehend written numbers. I'm hearing the data distribution as I move through it.
Name.
T opens
Column
the table
header row
view,
1 column 1.
a sortable overview of every tract.
6,827 census 4,508 census tract 217.07 row 4 total population column 2.
Pressing enter jumps directly to that tract on the map.
Message census tract 217.07.
M opens the navigation menu for detailed tract information.
Filter objects.
Or direct navigation by pressing the Go button.
Object types. Census tract 200, census tract 200 and census tract 218, 6,000, go. Census tract 218.
What we're trying to showcase here is that Audiom isn't a separate product. It's a widget, just like a standard Esri map widget. When a developer adds it to their experience, users are able to choose the interface that actually works for them.
We're currently working with institutions like the Wisconsin Geological Survey, Georgia Institute of Technology, University of Washington, NASA JPL, and many, many other clients. So this is definitely something that people are starting to take notice of and thankfully making their maps fully usable. There are 3 steps to get Audiom integrated. So the first is that you publish your data in a public format. I mentioned feature layers for ArcGIS products. Most people here are probably using that, but Audiom works with any type of data, vector data. So GeoJSON, we're building a NetCDF tool. Also, we're finishing up our GEMS tool, so you can have any one of these different types of data stored on an external server, connect that to Audiom, and then that's the step 2 is you connect it to Audiom by pasting in the links in while you're configuring your map, and then the third step is you get an embed link that you can then paste into any existing ArcGIS product or website, and it will embed exactly how you just saw it on the Experience Builder widget. We also have an Experience Builder widget that connects into enterprise solutions as well, and GeoJobe can help you install that. If you work with transit maps, zoning maps, wildfire maps, or any of these other types of maps that state and local governments produce, there's a 99% chance that they're not accessible to all 78 of these criteria. But there's a very desperate need for these digital maps to be accessible. The National Federation of the Blind, which represents over 50,000 blind people, recently had a resolution calling on institutions to create accessible digital maps that communicate all the spatial information that I was mentioning earlier in the presentation: distance, direction, shape, size, orientation, topological relationships of all points, polygons, and lines on the map. We need more people to enter these professions and be able to work at a professional level with geographic maps that they're not able to see or use with a mouse. I've published a free map evaluation tool that goes through the top 15 of those 78 criteria that are most relevant to geographic maps and gives you a set of applications that you can download to your computer and describes how you would test your map for these 15 criteria. This is a tool that is freely available. You just visit this link and that I've got up on the screen, and you can find this evaluation. I really highly recommend you try this for all your geographic maps. Our vision is that all maps are usable to everyone, but we really need your help to make this happen. So what Extra Navigation is, how the partnership works between Extra Navigation and GeoJobe is GeoJobe is a reseller of Audiom and is helping clients like you integrate Audiom into their entire workflow. And because GeoJobe is also providing many, many other services, this is going to be part of the full map services that they provide. What questions do you have for me?
Yeah,
And thank you.
let me flip it over to the Q&A slide because we have several Q&A that
Yep.
are coming in. We have stuff coming in the chat, so it's good. So let me make sure I share my right slide because we do have more polls and all that other good stuff. But let's hit some Q&A, shall we? So and I will say, any of the Q&A, like obviously this is going to be recorded afterwards, like as a supplementary packet. Marketing usually puts together and sends out to all attendees, not only the link to the recording, but also the answered questions of the Q&A. So you'll have all that as well. But some of them we're going to be not necessarily typing out. So I'll hit the first one because it's super easy. What is the origin name of GeoJobe? We were founded by a gentleman by the name of Neil Jobe, who has since retired, but he is the founder. So that is that. So I answered that one. And these, Brandon, I'm going to rely heavily on you. Some of them are going to be me, but this next one is a very interesting question, and I'm sure very pressing. So, what would you recommend for maps needed in an emergency, such as evacuation or shelter zones in a natural disaster, where time is of the essence? Is it possible to enable a setting where high priority information can immediately be read out when a map like that is opened?
Yes, absolutely. So this comes back to more map design for visual users as well as as well as non-visual users. So the best way to it also depends which technique you're using. If you're using a detailed text description, again, like you can create, put all that details up at the very top of the map. You can also even just highlight at the very beginning before you present the audio map what people should be looking for. But something to take into consideration is that viewing an audio map might take 5 minutes, just in general to kind of go and explore that information. When you're um, trying to figure out how to evacuate from a wildfire and, looking at where the roads are closed, 5 minutes is enough time. Like, you should be able to use that. If you need to spend more time than like you need to get out there faster than 5 minutes, then even a sighted person looking at a map probably wouldn't be able to get enough information. They would want to use something like a real-time turn-by-turn navigation system, which, is like Google Maps or something like that, that gives you those types of directions. So you kind of, maps are a part of a full navigation experience for that kind of situation, but they're not the full answer. So, um, you know, but from a generalized kind of design perspective, I would put the sounds on the most important features, and so that's what the user notices the most. So there's a couple answers there. I hope one of them was what you were looking for.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was great. So we'll move on to the next one here. How do I get training in Audiom if I want this in my skill set?
So there's two different aspects that you can get, training on with Audiom. So first is how do you use Audiom as, if you want to be able to understand and analyze geographic data. We've got a bunch of tutorials on our product website, which is audiom.net. That's audiom.net. And there's an interactive tutorial there as well as on our, and then we've also got a more detailed tutorial. We're in the midst of creating a more detailed training set of materials, like for advanced use of Audiom. And so if you're interested in accessing those, please let me know. For training on how to implement Audiom into your own institution, that's something that you get training on when or if you start implementing Audiom in your institution. So as part of our contract with both GeoJobe and us, we'll come in and help you learn how to implement Audiom throughout your institution. So that's something that we offer as part of our contracts.
Perfect, perfect. All right, on to the next here. Will Audiom work within an Experience Builder application and a feature info widget tool, which shows custom pop-ups, which I believe I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. So if you've got your custom pop-ups, to be honest, that's not a feature that we've done a lot of trial and error with at the moment. My assumption is that the way that it's probably going to work is that if you've created that custom pop-up, then we can trigger that through Audiom as an event. And so in that particular case, since it is a custom piece of that experience builder widget, then we would need to add like a one line of code or something to tell Audiom that when you press the space bar, which is oftentimes our object card widget, that it should open and focus on that custom pop-up widget.
Perfect. All right, so let me hit the done on that one. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, so Jesse's just asking, can links be provided in the chat as well so they are clickable? I guess Blake, if you're able to do that and chat that out to everyone while Brandon and I are going through the Q&A, that would be fantastic. In addition, obviously, like I said, we're going to send out stuff after the fact as well, so all those links will be available in there as well. So done. I think we already answered this, but is Audiom available with ArcGIS Online's Experience Builder?
Yes, absolutely. It's both available with ArcGIS Online and Experience Builder. So with Online, you use an embed widget and paste in the embed code and create, whatever widget you want to put that embed widget into, like a tab, for example, or place it next to the Experience Builder, the existing visual map widget. And then for Experience Builder, you can either do the same with an embed widget, or we've got an Experience Builder widget that integrates directly into your Enterprise Experience Builder application.
Perfect. And it done. Okay, more of the same, but that's, I mean, people don't know what other people have typed, so I totally get it. Does Audiom work with software as a service, Esri apps on AGOL? How would one integrate the widget? And I think you just answered that in kind
Yeah,
of the previous question.
exactly the same way. The embed widget is really our friend here for things like storyboards or any of the other ArcGIS applications that don't allow for custom widgets.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. And let me hit answer live. Thanks for all the questions, everybody. This is awesome. So are there translation features for visually impaired people whose first language may not be English?
Do you want to start the poll while I answer this one?
Oh yeah, well, I guess I can start a poll.
All right, cool. Yeah, so Audiom is currently translated into 11 different languages, and if the user has their own screen reader, then absolutely they can they can use their own screen reader to access it in that particular language. We don't do the translation of the map. So if you have translated the map into different languages, then we can support any language that you've translated the map into. But from the labels perspective and all that kind of stuff, we've translated it into 11 different languages. And if you need another language, we can translate it as well. We've got all the infrastructure to do that. We just need requests from clients.
Perfect, perfect. And I do have that poll up if folks aren't paying attention, but folks are answering, so that's perfect. We'll just continue jamming on the Q&A. I'm mindful of the time, but I can wrap this thing up pretty quick when we need to, so let's focus on the Q&A. So if the content in the map is updated, does it update the content in the widget automatically?
Absolutely. We're basically just pulling the data from your existing server, and we don't store any of that data. It's not anywhere. We can cache it if you want, but that's an optional thing, and you can decide how long you want the cache to be stored for. That just speeds up the loading times. But absolutely, whenever you update your feature server, that gets automatically updated in Audiom because Audiom is just a viewer.
Perfect, perfect. Get done on that one. Oh, let's see. Okay, answer live. Perfect. And thanks. Yeah, Blake's throwing some stuff in the chat for the links too. Okay. Will GeoJobe or Audiom provide, excuse me, assistance/training to those who choose to adopt the program?
Yes. So we'll be working with GeoJobe to make sure that they've got, they're trained in how to use Audiom. They'll be the first line of support for when you have questions, and we're working with them to make sure they understand how to use Audiom and can support you on that. Absolutely. And if worst comes to worst, we'll hop on a call with you as well and just make sure that you're fully, competent in understanding how to use it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yep. And I'll say too, we're still learning. Like this has been a journey for us, so we're still learning as well. So we've leaned on Brandon, the XR navigation team, pretty heavily, at least here initially. Um, all right, on to the next one. And reminder everybody, I do have the poll up. If you have not answered, please do. Let's see. Is the Audiom widget only available in Experience Builder? Can it be used in Instant Apps, Dashboard, Story Maps, etc.? I believe the answer is yes on that.
Absolutely, yes. And we would use it through the embed widget.
Perfect. Answer live and hit done. Little time check. We still got 10 minutes, so we're good. We're not gonna do that one. Um, okay. This is interesting, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of different people too. I work for a local government, and our budget for the next fiscal year is already passed. What are some good resources that I can use to meet the deadline in April, and then look into Audium the following fiscal year?
Um, there's not really a good solution for a full compliant experience. So the best thing you can do at the moment is to start a pilot with Audium. And if for some reason a person, comes to you and says, "Hey, um, I see that your maps aren't compliant. We're going to sue you." The best defense that you can do is to say, "Hey, we're working. Uh, we've built a pilot map here, and we are, testing this out. We're working on it. Our plan is to have this done by the end of next year, to, have all our maps fully compliant." And oftentimes, in the past, that has been a good enough defense for state and local governments who have been sued against ADA Title II, or Title III, regulations. So, if you can demonstrate, and show, like, here's an Audium pilot we've done of our most popular map, and we're planning to roll this out across our entire organization. That's the best thing you can do. Unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to make your maps fully compliant without doing an awful lot of custom widget building, and it's going to cost you more at the end of the day to try and build a fully compliant solution on your own than it will be to do this Audium pilot approach. Even though the Audium pilot approach is just a little bit more risky, but the best thing I can suggest is for you to talk to GeoJobe and figure out what would be what you can afford, because you might be surprised, but that's really what I recommend.
Perfect. Is that
Just to
done?
kind of give you an idea, we've been working on Audium for almost 10 years now, and it's just now gotten to the point to where it's fully ADA compliant. And we've got third party, evaluations that demonstrate that it's fully compliant. So it's not, it wasn't easy, and we didn't have anybody, over our shoulder saying, "Hey, we need this to look a particular way." And we also had, certified web accessibility specialists on staff, as well as totally blind cartographers, which are all very uncommon. So I really do not recommend trying to roll your own solution. You can, but it's going to cost millions of dollars rather than thousands.
Yep. Um, let's see, answer this one live. Will it work in Instant Apps? Yes, it will. Oh, there's a good one. Can you ask natural language questions of Audium and get text-based replies that describe objects or spatial relationships in a map?
At this moment in time, no, but I'm going to give you guys a super secret peek into our R&D process. We have a couple folks who have been working on a chat, we call it the Chat Map project, where you can ask questions and get the answers around these spatial content. And so it's still being developed. We're in the midst of doing, right now, we're doing like evaluations based off of like the NEEP geography examination. We've got our LLM answering those questions that they ask eighth graders on that standardized test. We've got a couple research studies that ask questions about geographic maps. And at the moment, we're about 93% accurate compared to about 85% accurate for humans on this. And so we want to get better than that. So our goal is to get about 95 to 99% accurate before we actually put this out to users. Because when you're a fire marshal or you're doing city planning, you can't be 95% accurate. You need to be as accurate as possible in order to do your job correctly. So that's what we're focused on.
Perfect. And let me hit. Sorry, I'm losing my places. Okay, perfect. All right. And we have Brandon right around 4 to 5 minutes. So, and we still have a lot of Q&A. So, y'all, if we don't get to your question, I apologize. We will answer it after the fact and it'll be sent out written. So, let's see. Ooh, here we go. Some places use digital maps such as malls, conference centers, etc. Is it possible, or is there plans to bring Audiom to interfaces like that?
Absolutely. We've done a bunch of different multi-story hotel buildings. We've done some conference centers. Absolutely. Audium works with indoor mapping data format, IMDF, right out of the box. And then if you've got, and also Esri Indoor as well. So we've done a few Esri Indoor maps where we just recently came out with an airport map. So absolutely, any type of building map fully works with Audiom.
Perfect, perfect. Sorry, I had a little cough and attack, so I was on mute. All right, let's see. Ooh, here we go. A frequent request is colorblind accommodation. Does Audiom transform a legend symbology? I think this says automatically, or is it a manual process?
It's automatic. Yeah,
Okay.
any map that gets put into Audiom will automatically get a patterns layer as well as cased borders, which are both options for making your maps
Mm,
compliant for colorblind users.
perfect. Okay, hit done. This is an interesting question. Does Audiom need, so I guess this question is, does it work offline? Because it says, does Audiom need internet access to function?
Yeah, you need it to load the map initially, but you can take it offline after you've loaded the initial map. And so, if that's a really, we need to enable a functionality on Audiom in order to make that work like perfectly. But if you just load Audiom offline, sorry, you load Audiom while you connect it to the internet and then go offline, you can still use it just fine. Don't refresh the page. By default. But if you want the user to be able to refresh that page, we need to enable an extra setting. So if that's something you need, just let us know and we can enable that.
Perfect. Okay. Does Audiom enable editing spatial data, like moving a point, splitting a polygon, etc.?
Absolutely, yes. So Audiom allows you to draw through sound, which is a really cool functionality. And you can create points, polygons, and lines. You can move objects around and stuff like that. So if that's a feature you're interested in, we can highlight that and make that fully functional. At the moment, we haven't yet done a full-on sync between Audiom and Esri for that drawing feature. But it's one of those things that's on our roadmap. We just need to do it. So if you're interested in that feature specifically, let us know. We can prioritize that for you.
Okie dokie. All right. And I'm just kind of looking to. Oh, that's very sweet. Someone wrote that. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna have to wrap it here and then probably answer the rest of these later, but I do want to share someone that did have a really nice comment. So thank you for such an informative webinar. I came expecting to learn about ADA requirements, but I'm leaving with a much better understanding of why they matter. Your firsthand perspective added insights I simply couldn't have gained from guidelines alone. it will absolutely change the way I think about designing maps going forward. Thank you for sharing your experience. So that was very sweet. Thank you. Um, let's see. All right, so I think we have a minute left. And yeah, I know, wasn't that awesome, everybody? That was super, super thoughtful to put in. So the poll's been up. If you haven't answered the poll, I'm going to leave the poll up. Final date details, free trials are coming. Blake has put the links into the chat. If you want more information, Brandon shared my email address. You can also reach out at sales-geo-jobe.com. Here's Brandon's email address. Again, we will be sharing more information from this webinar after. And then, let's see, almost right on time. Someone said, very awesome work, Brandon and team. So yeah, we appreciate it. Um, the link should be in the chat, Kim, but hey, we're going to send you all the links after. So if you don't see them, we'll get them in there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Brandon. Once I hit end webinar, literally this thing just goes blank. So I appreciate your time as well. I'm sure we'll be in touch prior to UC. But thanks, everybody. I don't know, Brandon, if you want to share a couple thoughts as well as we wrap this thing up.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you so much for attending this, and I hope to see you at UC.
Perfect, perfect. So I've ended the poll. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week. And we'll be in touch soon to talk more about audio. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.